New Delhi, you're watching DD India News, our India's voice to the world. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and coming up in the next hour. Pradhan Mantri Dhan Yojana, largest financial inclusion initiative in the world, completes a decade of successful implementation. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi says initiative is about dignity, empowerment and opportunity. Indian government clears 12 industrial nodes under the National Industrial Corridor Development Programme to build world-class greenfield smart cities. Also approves rolling out of private FM radio to 234 uncovered new cities. Defiant Kremlin vows to continue fight as Russia turns down Ukrainian President Zelensky's peace plan. Telegram founder Pavel Durov released from police custody in France and transferred to court for questioning. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer holds talks with German counterpart Olaf Scholz in Berlin, pitches for new cooperation treaty. The Pradhan Mantri Dhan Yojana or Dhan scheme marks its 10th anniversary on Wednesday with over 53 crore accounts and 2.3 lakh crore in deposits. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman have praised its impact on the financial inclusion and women's empowerment. Internationally, it's recognized for reducing poverty and boosting digital payments.
The world's largest financial inclusion initiative, the Pradhan Mantri Dhan Yojana, completed 10 years of implementation on Wednesday. The initiative has had a profound impact across the country, contributing to financial inclusion, women's empowerment and access to credit. The promotion of UPI and digital services are crucial steps in India's journey towards development. In a post on the social media platform LinkedIn, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that today over 53 crore people now have bank accounts having a deposit balance of over rupees 2.3 lakh crore. Over 65% of the Dhan Yojana accounts are either in rural or semi-urban areas. Direct transfers worth almost rupees 39 lakh crore have taken place. Prime Minister further said that Dhan Yojana has proven to be game-changing as far as women's empowerment is concerned. Almost 30 crore women have been brought into the banking system. Dhan also became a vital pillar of the JAM Trinity, Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile. Over 40% of real-time digital payments in the world happen in India. PMJDY Yojana personifies dignity, empowerment and the opportunity to participate in the economic life of the nation. Sharing a picture, Prime Minister Modi congratulated all the beneficiaries and praised everyone who contributed to the success of the scheme.
It was my first account. Earlier, to open an account, so many documents were needed. It was zero balance and I opened an account. Modi ji has opened my account in bank. This is going smoothly. Dhan account was opened. Money is directly credited to my account. Earlier, there was a lot of problem in opening accounts. Now, after opening Dhan account, life has become easier.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman too congratulated the countrymen. In a post on X, she said, a progressive step was taken on this day 10 years ago for financial inclusion. Prime Minister Modi launched this initiative to ensure crores of our people who did not benefit from formal coverage of financial services are brought into benefit. Over 53 crore accounts with over rupees 2.3 lakh crore in deposits is the result of this people's movement. The success of Pradhan Mantri Dhan Yojana has garnered international attention. The scheme has been praised by organizations like the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund and the United Nations Development Programme for its role in reducing poverty and enhancing financial stability. Christopher Waller, member, Federal Reserve Board of Governors of the United States, while speaking at the GFF 2024, praised the technology-driven payments revolution in India.
In 2015, there was an initiative to improve the payment system in the U.S. with faster, certainly retail payments. And the Federal Reserve acted as the kind of coordinator of industry discussions of how to do that. And we were really encouraging the private sector to take this on and do it.
In 2022, the United Nations Development Programme has praised India for success in reducing multidimensional poverty on all the 10 indicators. In 2023, a G20 report by the World Bank revealed that India has achieved its financial inclusion goals in just 6 years, a feat that would have taken 47 years without its advanced digital public infrastructure. In 2024, UNGA President cited the example of India at the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly. President Denis Francis told the global audience in Rome that India has lifted millions of people out of poverty. Countries including France, Singapore, Bhutan, Mauritius, Nepal, Sri Lanka and UAE have accepted UPI payment system. Peru and Namibia have signed pact with National Payments Corporation of India to develop a fast payment system similar to UPI. The Reserve Bank of India is also working with the Bank for International Settlements and central banks in Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore and Thailand to link UPI with their fast payment systems. Bureau Report, DD, India.
And in other news, Britain and Germany's leaders have agreed in talks in Berlin on Wednesday to work on an ambitious treaty covering issues from defence to trade that would be part of a reset of British relationship with the European Union. On his first bilateral visit to Germany, UK Prime Minister Starmer has said a reset would not mean reversing Britain's 2020 exit from the EU or re-entering the bloc's single market or customs union for that matter. But it means a closer relationship on a number of fronts, which includes economy and defence. More in this report.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer received military honours at the Chancellery in Berlin on Wednesday as German Chancellor Olaf Scholz welcomed UK's leader at the start of his visit to Germany. Later, British Prime Minister held talks with the German Chancellor and discussed landmark economic and defence accord. Starmer billed the new cooperation treaty as a once-in-a-generation chance to deliver for working people in Britain and in Germany, as it would deepen collaboration in science, technology, business and culture while increasing trade. In a joint press conference, Starmer said, "The new pact with Germany is a big step towards enhancing relations with the rest of European Union."
A new UK-Germany treaty, a once-in-a-generation chance to deliver for working people in Britain and in Germany. A new agreement, a testament to the depth and potential of our relationship, with deeper links on science, technology, development, people, business, culture, a boost to our trading relations.
German Chancellor hailed Starmer's bid to improve Britain's ties with the European Union.
I am delighted that Keir Starmer has announced that he will seek a fresh start in his relationship with the European Union. We want to grasp this outstretched hand.
UK Prime Minister Starmer insisted he is not seeking to reverse Brexit as he pitched a wider reset of Britain's ties with Europe. Starmer said he wanted Britain to move beyond the previous Conservative government's fractious relations with European allies and put improved ties at the heart of his efforts to boost Britain's economic growth. Earlier, UK Prime Minister met German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier and signed a guest book at the Bellevue Palace in Berlin. After Germany, Sir Keir travels to Paris for the Paralympics opening ceremony on Wednesday evening, before a breakfast meeting with French business leaders on Thursday morning and a summit with President Emmanuel Macron at the Elysee Palace. Bureau Report, DD India.
And DD India's Stuart Smith joins us live from London. Hi, Smith. Now, in sharp contrast to the previous government's approach to EU and its policies, what kind of, and I quote, broader reset, quote unquote, with Germany is Starmer administration really looking during his much hyped tour to Germany?
Yeah, it's a very different relationship to the previous governments, and that is the main thing it's impossible to ignore for the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer in going to Germany. It's a symbolic move to show, unlike his predecessors, he is particularly interested in not just working through the status quo of what is still a reasonably fractious relationship, but trying to improve things directly, a bilateral agreement, not we're talking about the European Union, but directly with Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Berlin and President Emmanuel Macron in France. Now, specifically, what he's hoping to get is, he says, a better deal for the German people and for the UK people in order to improve trade, which will then lead, he suggests, to better economic growth for both countries and then an improvement in the living standards of both peoples, trying to link that foreign affairs with the domestic. But also, one of the things he's trying to tackle with making a better relationship with Berlin is the issues of irregular migration to the UK. Asylum seekers travelling by boats over the English Channel, and he's suggesting that with better cooperation with Berlin, he can better help tackle those smuggling gangs that bring people to the UK.
Having said that, it's very interesting to see how Starmer has pitched the new cooperation treaty as a once-in-a-generation chance to deliver for working people in Britain and Germany. Now, how significant is this from EU's point of view, particularly Germany?
Yeah, it certainly means more for Keir Starmer than it does for Olaf Scholz and the European Union. It was he that reached out to them. He needs to try and create a better relationship with the EU after his predecessors left it in a very poor state. Now, that being said, Olaf Scholz did suggest he was very excited by the prospect of a closer relationship with the UK. He says the UK has always been an indispensable partner to solving European issues, and nothing has changed there. He also said that he was keen to do everything in his power to improve UK-Germany relations. So he sees potential here for benefits for both sides, but it is the case, it's the UK trying to improve relations with the EU rather than the other way around.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Smith, for joining us live from London on that story. Thank you. French prosecutors on Wednesday freed Telegram CEO Pavel Durov from police custody after 4 days of questioning over allegations that the messaging app is being used for illegal activities. A statement from the Paris prosecutor's office says, and I quote, "An investigating judge has ended Pavel Durov's police custody and will have him brought to court for a first appearance and a possible indictment." Ross Cullen from Paris joins us more. So they've, in a statement, talked about the possible indictment. But to begin with, Ross, if you could just share more details as far as the observations of the prosecutor is concerned.
Well, he's been released from police custody, but has not been released. To make that clear, that he's been taken to the Paris High Court, where he will be in front of a judge. We are expecting a decision to be made in a couple of hours' time now. The deadline for when questioning can continue expires at 8 p.m. local time, so in about 2.5 hours' time before that deadline expires, we should have word if Mr. Durov has been released or if he is to be charged. This investigation is all to do with allegations that not enough has been done by Telegram, by Mr. Durov, to try to clamp down on the platform being used for the exploitation of children sexually, the promotion of that material, the promotion of terrorist material, complicity to aid drug trafficking, cyberbullying, fraud. All of these things are being investigated. All of these things, Telegram say, is absolutely absurd that somebody who sets up a platform could be responsible for what is happening in third parties. There is some moderation of public channels, but Telegram also has millions of people using it in a private way to just hold private conversations. And so that is where the focus of the investigation is at the moment. We will learn in the coming hours if Mr. Durov is to be released or charged.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ross, as of now, for joining us. Of course, we'll be keeping a very close watch on the developments on the Durov case. Thank you. And still to come on DD India News Hour, coming up next, this is what we have for you. US prosecutors issue revised charges against Donald Trump for his alleged attempts to interfere in 2020 elections. And Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas meets Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Riyadh. And Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez visits West Africa, aiming to stem migration surge.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and let's move on to some other big stories we are tracking. Ahead of the much-awaited and hyped presidential candidates Trump-Harris debate, which is scheduled for 10th of September, Donald Trump is facing a revised federal indictment on accusing him of illegally trying to overturn his 2020 election loss. The prosecutors have narrowed their approach following US Supreme Court ruling that provides broader immunity to former presidents from criminal prosecution. Shalini Puri gets us more in this report that follows.
Donald Trump faced a revised federal indictment accusing him of illegally trying to overturn his 2020 election loss. This indictment, like the initial one, accuses Trump of a multi-part conspiracy to block the certification of his election defeat to Biden. It retains allegations Trump pressured then Vice President Mike Pence to use his role presiding over the congressional certification of the election on January 6, 2021 to reject electoral votes from battleground states Trump lost.
The four key components of the case against the former president have not changed. It's more a matter of emphasis and evidentiary support.
The revised indictment no longer includes allegations that Trump sought to pressure the United States. The Justice Department tried to overturn his election defeat, an apparent effort to keep the prosecution alive after the High Court found that Trump could not be prosecuted for that conduct. It exercises a reference to Jeffrey Clark, a senior Trump administration Justice Department official who allegedly sought to aid his attempts to undermine the election results as a co-conspirator, and to former US Attorney General Bill Barr, who allegedly told Trump his claims of widespread voter fraud were not true. Former President and current Republican nominee Donald Trump aggressively stepped up his social media effort. On Truth Social post, he said, and I quote, "In an effort to resurrect a dead witch hunt in Washington, D.C., in an act of desperation and in order to save face, the illegally appointed special counsel, deranged Jack Smith, has brought a ridiculous new indictment against me, which has all the problems of old indictment and should be dismissed immediately. His Florida document hoax case has been completely dismissed. This is merely an attempt to interfere with the election and distract the American people from the catastrophes Kamala Harris has inflicted on our nation, like the border invasion, migrant crime, rampant inflation, the threat of World War III, and more." Donald Trump's running mate J.D. Vance said that the conspiracy charge against Trump was an attempt to interfere in the upcoming November 5 election.
Well, I think just my pushback on what they said is, look, if the president doesn't have some level of immunity in how he conducts his office, in the same way that judges have to have immunity, police officers have to have immunity, there has to be some recognition that people can't be sued for doing their job. And, you know, the way that I think about it is try to make this nonpartisan.
The revised indictment focuses on Trump's role as a political candidate seeking re-election, rather than as the president at the time. Bureau Report, DD India.
Nick Harper joins us live from Washington, D.C. Nick, so to begin with, just run us through the charges that have been mounted under this revised indictment under the election subversion case for Donald Trump. Would you say bad timings for Trump at this juncture?
Well, in terms of the actual charges themselves, it's very similar to what we saw last time around. The big change is that the language within them has been changed. So the charges remain the same. What they've done is tweak the language to remove any references that the Supreme Court found problematic as a result of their decision of the president having broad immunity from actions that he took while in office. But undoubtedly it will be a problem, Sakal, for Donald Trump as he tries to fight for re-election. Less than 70 days to go until the November 5th election. As we heard in that report, there has already been plenty of pushback from Republicans who are saying that this is a witch hunt, that again it is an attempt by the Democrats to keep Donald Trump out of office. J.D. Vance pushing back very forcefully, of course, his vice presidential pick, saying that this was all about preventing Trump from re-entering the Oval Office. Donald Trump himself on social media, his platform Truth Social, saying this was trying to resurrect a dead witch hunt, and he said that it was an act of desperation. So it is something that they're pushing back against, but it is a case of perhaps bad timing. It does seem as though it is very unlikely that the trial would go ahead before November's election.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to talk to you about next. Very unlikely to proceed to trial ahead of the November 5th election when the Republican Trump faces Kamala Harris. But this whole narrative of this re-indictment being politically motivated, so on and so forth, at the time when both are so overwhelmingly, engaged and consumed in this high decibel election campaigning. Do you see this really holding ground in terms of impacting the respective electorate? Or is it just another way of making headlines, but it's not really going to have any impact when it comes to voters' mind?
When it comes to the voters themselves, of course, Donald Trump's base has throughout backed up the former president, feeling that this is a politically motivated witch hunt against him. Of course, the Department of Justice feel differently. They feel that there are legitimate charges to be brought against the former president for his actions surrounding the January 6th attack on the Capitol. It's unlikely to change the minds of those hardcore Donald Trump voters. What it could do, though, is potentially change the minds of the independent, undecided voters, the very people who decide the elections, particularly in those swing states. They may be looking at this and feeling, like the Justice Department does, that there is merit in these charges. Of course, it is a push to try and resurrect the charges against Donald Trump, because we are about to enter the important 60-day period where 60 days before the election, no new charges can be brought against any presidential candidate. So an attempt here by the Justice Department to try and reignite this, to try and get it back front and centre when it comes to making headlines, but also they hope further down the line to actually be able to bring Donald Trump to justice and get him in a courtroom to answer to these charges.
All right, Nick, thank you very much for joining us from US. Thanks from Washington, D.C. on the story. Shifting focus to Israel-Gaza, developments there, the latest on the conflict where Israel Defense Forces have reported that at least 10 terrorists were eliminated as forces from the Fir Infantry Brigade, the Dubidivan Special Forces Unit, Engineering Forces and other units continue to operate in what the IDF described as a broad operation which is focused on 3 refugee camps in Jenin, Nur al-Shams in Tulkarm and Al-Faraha. During the operation, the forces exchanged fire with terrorists and arrested a number of wanted persons. Most of the terrorists were eliminated in the 2 airstrikes. The IDF also said its forces continue to operate even at this time and that the fighting is expected to continue for an extended period of time. And on the other hand, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas met Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on Tuesday during his visit to Riyadh. The two leaders discussed the military escalation in Gaza and its surrounding areas. Shifting focus to Russia-Ukraine conflict, where amid attacks and counterattacks on Russia-Ukraine border, Moscow has dismissed talks by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky about a plan he has to end the war. Kremlin spokesperson has said that Russia would continue when it calls its special military operation, what it called its special military operation in Ukraine.
Amidst Russia-Ukraine conflict, Moscow's Kremlin has dismissed the talks by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky about a plan he has to end the war. Kremlin says Russia would continue what it calls its special military operation in Ukraine.
This is not the first time we hear such statements from representatives of Kiev regime. We are aware of the essence of Kiev regime. We continue our special military operations and will achieve all the goals set.
Ukraine's Zelensky said he would present his plan, full details of which he did not publicly disclose, to US President Joe Biden and his two potential successors. Zelensky says Kyiv's 3-week-old incursion into Russia's Kursk region was part of his plan, but that it also comprised other steps on the economic and diplomatic fronts. Kremlin said on Wednesday that European consumers will face higher prices unless Kyiv agrees to extend a deal on Russia gas transit via Ukraine once it expires on December 31st. Kremlin spokesperson said that Russia could find alternative routes such as the planned Turkish gas hub if Kyiv did not extend the deal. On the other hand, support for Ukraine continues from its Western allies. Spain's Foreign Affairs Minister José Manuel Albares, presented on Wednesday to Ukraine's ambassador to Spain, said he, Pohoreltsev, 7 electric generators ahead of the winter months.
Spain will continue to support the people and the government of Ukraine in the defense for their freedom, their sovereignty and their democracy through humanitarian support, political support, military support and financial support.
Meanwhile, a Ukraine drone attack sparked a fire at an oil depot in Russia's southern Rostov region on Wednesday, while drones also attempted to attack the Kyrov region. Kyrov is some 1,500 kilometers northeast of the border with Ukraine. Bureau Report, DD India.
Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, who is on his second visit this year to West Africa, visited Gambia on Wednesday following a visit to Mauritania on Tuesday. The visit is aimed at curbing migration to the Canary Islands and to counter the Russian presence in the Sahel region. During the trip, Spain signed circular migration agreements with Gambia and Mauritania, allowing workers from these countries to come to Spain for short periods to meet labor needs and then return to their countries of origin.
Our security forces, Guardia Civil, Policía Nacional, Navy, Gambian Immigration Department, Gambia Police Force have developed over the years a very fruitful collaboration. Spain and the Gambia have become key partners in the field of security, especially in border surveillance and the fight against irregular migration.
In a landmark decision on Wednesday, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, chaired by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has approved 12 new project proposals under the National Industrial Corridor Development Programme with an investment or the estimated investment of over $3 billion. The move is set to transform the industrial landscape of the country.
ये 12 नए इंडस्ट्रियल एरियाज कंबाइंड इनमें इन्वेस्टमेंट सरकार की तरफ से आएगा 28,602 करोड़ का 28,602 करोड़ का और वंस दीज कॉरिडोर्स एंड नोड्स आर डेवलप्ड उसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट पोटेंशियल है 1.5 लाख करोड़ 1,52,757 करोड़ और करीब करीब 10 लाख एम्प्लॉयमेंट का इसमें पोटेंशियल है.
And in another decision, Cabinet approved rolling out private FM radios to 234 cities or towns that remained uncovered by far. The Cabinet has approved the proposal to conduct e-auctions for 730 channels in 234 new cities with an estimated reserve price of rupees 784.87 crore under the private FM radio phase 3 policy.
234 cities जिनमें 730 चैनल्स को एक्सपैंड करने के लिए ये फैसला लिया गया है. इसमें रेडियो इंडस्ट्री की बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स जो थी उनको भी सॉल्व किया गया है उनके फाइनेंशियल हेल्थ को सुधारने के हिसाब से और लोकल टैलेंट पे फोकस करते हुए प्रोजेक्ट है.
20th August 2024 marks 10 years since India launched the world's largest financial inclusion program called Dhan Yojana or Dhan scheme. It was designed to bring more Indians into the banking fold. And in the last decade, more than 530 million bank accounts have been opened, linked to mobile phone numbers and India's unique identity cards called Aadhaar cards. The Dhan Yojana or Dhan scheme played a leading role or a significant role in harnessing the two potential of India's digital public infrastructure.
प्रधानमंत्री जन धन योजना के माध्यम से हम देश के गरीब से गरीब लोगों को बैंक अकाउंट की सुविधा से जोड़ना चाहते हैं.
The Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana is the world's largest financial inclusion program initiated by the Government of India. It provides affordable access to financial services such as bank accounts, remittances, credit, insurance and pensions to almost every citizen of the country. As of August 2024, there are over 530 million Jan Dhan bank accounts, with a total balance that exceeds 231,000 crore rupees. That's around $28 billion US.
Under the Jan Dhan scheme, more than 500 million bank accounts have been opened for beneficiaries. With regard to processing infrastructure, basic connectivity has been ensured through availability of affordable mobile phones and internet. Even in rural areas, the mobile teledensity is around 60%. The trinity of Jan Dhan accounts, Aadhaar and mobile phones, popularly known as the JAM Trinity, has provided the base DPI infrastructure which is being leveraged for multiple value-added services.
The sheer magnitude of the program has laid the foundation for the success of India's digital public infrastructure that has found praise among world leaders.
Rural farmers in India who never had a relationship with the banking system are now able to transact all their businesses on their smartphone. They pay their bills, they receive payment for orders. 800 million people lifted out of poverty.
What has made the program successful has been that the accounts provide the framework for transferring financial benefits of government schemes directly to the beneficiary. Apart from that, there are life and health insurance schemes, pension schemes and microcredit facilities that accrue to eligible account holders. To enhance digital access, there are more than 320 million RuPay debit cards provided to these accounts. 67% of them are in rural and semi-urban areas.
Modi has done an unbelievable job in India. He's taken 400 million people out of poverty. He has 400 million people without toilets. Really? And we're lecturing them how to do things? They put in this unbelievable, every citizen by hand or by eyeball or by finger is recognized. They open bank accounts for 700 million people. The transfer payments are going through. They've got an unbelievable education system, unbelievable infrastructure. They're lifting up that whole country.
Aiding the process of financial literacy are 115,900 bank mitras who deliver branchless banking services. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of financial inclusion through the Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile has been truly revolutionary. It provided a big bang moment for India's rapid economic transition and growth that 10 years on, we see in almost every aspect of Indian life. Bureau Report, DD India.
And we are very honoured to be joined by Dr. Prashant Kumar Goel. He is Joint Secretary, Department of Financial Services, joining us on this broadcast. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. So, a decade of excellence in terms of implementation and the revolutionary, if I may be allowed to use that word, impact it has had, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, on the lives of have-nots. How do you see this, this whole decade today?
The journey of PM Jan Dhan Yojana has been truly marvelous. If I talk about the last one decade, the scheme was launched in 2014 by Honorable Prime Minister and with a very ambitious target of initially having a bank account for every household, which was achieved in almost in a year. And then another ambitious target of reaching every adult citizen of India with a bank account. At that time, a large number of Indian citizens were not having a bank account. So in last one decade, we are able to connect almost 53 crore individuals with a Jan Dhan account. So I would say that the journey has been wonderful, and it has truly revolutionized the way the banking system in the India operates.
And what would be the broader areas that you would attribute this success to?
I would like to attribute this success to, first of all, the clear policy direction from the government, and then the truly selfless effort of all the officers and employees of the bank, of the ministries, who tirelessly work towards this goal of making the Jan Dhan movement a success.
Okay, we know that Jam Trinity technology was used to devise this mass financial inclusion scheme, and the way this has been hailed internationally. So clearly India has not only pioneered it, but set a fresh template for the world to follow. So in terms of global perspective, how do you see it, sir?
India has been traditionally a lower middle income country. So there are different classes of people, and a large number of people are at the bottom of the pyramid. So initially, when the movement was launched, even the banking system was not very sure, like whether these people who will be connected with the banking system, so whether they will be credit worthy, whether they will be able to bank or use the facility of the banking. And the entire world was looking at us.
Yes.
So last 10 years, we have proved that not only these people have opened account, they are using it, and after the advent of UPI, they are using these accounts for making digital payments, which is truly marvelous. And all the countries in the world are looking at India with a ray of hope that similar kind of technology may be implemented in many other parts of the world.
If you could also share us some insights, the gender gap in this, in the account ownership has also significantly reduced, and in fact, women are, the equal stakeholders here over a decade. That's what we have seen.
Well, if we see the statistics of Jan Dhan accounts, we see that almost 2/3 of the accounts are there in the rural area. And more than 50%, in fact 56% of the accounts are with the women. So we can safely say that women in the rural area, they have made good use of this scheme, this movement, and open their accounts. And if we see the other linked scheme like Mudra also and NRLM, so women are coming in large numbers and taking the use of credit facilities, which are being offered by the banks.
And more insights as far as this has, provided further impetus to the digital transformation of the country.
Actually, almost 36 crore rupee debit cards have been issued under PM Jan Dhan Yojana. Most of the people to whom these cards have been issued, they are using them not only for withdrawing the money, but for digital payments also. And I would attribute the success of UPI to the basic pillar, which is the Jan Dhan, other two being Aadhaar and mobile. So in last 5 to 7 years, there have been marked change in the digital payment landscape of the country.
It's only moving from strength to strength now. 10 years on, what's going to be the next step now? Unfinished agenda under Jan Dhan, sir?
The unfinished agenda, I would say that still there are a small percentage of adults in the country who don't have Jan Dhan account. So I would like to request through your channel to all the people who don't have a bank account to come forward to approach the banks and bank mitras, business correspondents who are there in their villages and open the account. Another thing, we want to link as many as people as possible with the micro insurance scheme, be it Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, be it Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, and also with micro pension scheme like Atal Pension Yojana.
The statistics look very assuring and very encouraging, sir. It says around 99.95% of all inhabited villages have access to banking facilities within 5-kilometer radius. This has completely transformed the rural base through this banking scheme.
Yeah, the government is working on a policy that all the inhabited villages in the country, they should have a banking touch point within a 5-kilometer radius. so that no one has to travel more than 5 kilometers to approach and to avail the basic banking facilities. So with that purpose in mind, we have opened new bank branches. We have spread and expanded the network of India Post Payment Bank, and also banks have deployed business correspondents in almost all the villages. So hardly a few hundred villages are left, which we are hopeful that in coming 6 to 8 months, we should be able to reach all such villages with a banking outlet, banking facility within the radius of 5 kilometers.
So, final question with, of course, huge congratulations to the department there. Challenges throughout this journey, and lastly, your message to the beneficiaries who are watching this discussion.
Yeah, the biggest challenge, I would say, that one, coordination at such a large scale, pan-India, where more than 1 lakh bank branches are there, so everybody had to be brought on board. Then reaching people and motivating them and building in a confidence in them that they can approach the bank. Earlier, people used to hesitate in approaching the bank, but we have been successful in that. My request again would be, like as I told in the unfinished agenda part, that those who yet not have bank accounts, they should come forward. All those kids who are attaining 18 years of age, immediately after they turn adults, they should open bank accounts and use these accounts for their saving needs, their credit needs. Approach the bank and take loans for whatever your needs are, be the need for education loan, home loan, and any other kind of need for the business purposes. So the banking system is there to help you out.
On that note, thank you very much, Dr. Prashant Kumar Goyal, for joining us, Joint Secretary, Department of Financial Services, Government of India. Thank you, sir, for joining us on this broadcast. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired the meeting of the 44th edition of PRAGATI, which is the ICT-based multi-model platform for proactive governance and timely implementation involving centre and state governments. This was the first meeting in his third term. In the meeting, 7 significant projects were reviewed, which includes 2 projects relating to road connectivity, 2 rail projects and 1 project each of the coal, power and water resources sectors. The cost of these projects totaled more than Rs 76,500 crores and relate to 11 states and union territories. Prime Minister emphasized the fact that delay in projects not only leads to cost escalation, but also deprives the public of the intended benefits of the project. Prime Minister said that the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam campaign can help safeguard the environment while undertaking project development. Prime Minister also reviewed Amrut 2.0 and public grievances related to Jal Jeevan Mission and advised chief secretaries to personally monitor the works under the scheme. Prime Minister said the states should make plans keeping in mind the growth potential and future needs of cities. Prime Minister also reviewed public grievances related to Jal Jeevan Mission and also discussed about continuing working on the mission Amrit Sarovar. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Chile, Alberto Claverin, met at Hyderabad House in New Delhi on Wednesday. Chile's Foreign Minister is on a 3-day visit to New Delhi for the second India-Chile Joint Commission meeting that took place on Wednesday. Minister Claverin will participate along with his Agriculture Minister Esteban Valenzuela in Chile-India Business Agriculture Summit before leaving for Mumbai. And during the Joint Commission meet, Minister Jaishankar welcomed the delegates and said that Chile is one of the key partners of India and it values the participation of Chile in the Voice of the Global South Summit.
As I welcome you, let me also say we very much value the participation of Chile in the Voice of Global South Summit. We heard your president. He gave a very insightful set of remarks at the summit in August. We also thank you very much for your support for our permanent membership in the Expanded Security Council. Your own participation in the Trade and Economic Ministers meeting in November 2023 is also something we appreciate very deeply.
Declaring that enough is enough, India's President Draupadi Murmu has expressed deep dismay over an gruesome incident of rape and murder of a doctor. In an article titled "Women's Safety, Enough is Enough," India's president said, and I quote, "The gruesome incident of rape and murder of a doctor in Kolkata has left the nation shocked. I was dismayed and horrified when I came to hear of it. What is more depressing is the fact that it was not the only incident of this kind. It is part of a series of crimes against women. No civilized society can allow daughters and sisters to be subjected to such atrocities. The nation is bound to be outraged, and so am I. I am of the firm belief that we should not let amnesia prevail over the memory of such criminality. Let us deal with this perversion in a comprehensive manner so as to curb it right at the beginning." Extreme weather is causing chaos around the globe with devastating floods in Asia, severe heat waves in Europe and raging wildfires in the United States. The far-reaching effects of climate change are becoming increasingly evident. Here's a closer look at how different regions are being impacted.
The world is grappling with extreme weather conditions that are creating havoc across continents. From devastating floods in Asia to intense heat waves in Europe and wildfires in the United States, the impact of climate change is being felt far and wide. In Asia, flash floods have inundated regions, with India's western Gujarat state among the hardest hit. Streets and homes are submerged as heavy monsoon rains continue to wreak havoc across South Asia. The situation remains dire as communities struggle to cope with relentless downpour.
You can see the water all around. Everywhere you go, you will face the same issue of waterlogging.
Meanwhile, Japan had braced for Typhoon Shanshan, with heavy rain and strong winds forecast, forcing airlines and railways to cancel some services over the coming days. Meanwhile, in Europe, the situation is starkly different. Prolonged heat waves are scorching the continent, with Romania being severely impacted. The extreme temperatures have caused the Danube River to drop to alarmingly low levels, disrupting tourism, fishing and transport.
There are almost no fish because of water levels are very low. If I cast the fishing rod, I only catch grass. We have been here for 2 hours and I have caught absolutely nothing.
Across the Atlantic in the United States, wildfires are raging. The Remington fire, now the largest wildfire of Montana's 2024 season, has already scorched nearly 196,459 acres in southeastern Montana. Originating in Wyoming, the fire has spread rapidly, fueled by strong winds and dry conditions, posing a significant threat to communities and wildfire in its path. In the Swiss Alps, a rare and mesmerizing weather phenomena occurred, leaving passers-by in awe. Massive clouds seemed to avalanche down in the Grimsel Pass, creating a surreal and extraordinary spectacle. This rare event underscores the unpredictable nature of weather patterns in today's changing climate. As the world faces increasingly severe and unpredictable weather, the need for global cooperation and proactive measures to combat climate change becomes even more urgent. Amish Mahajan's report for DD India.
The 81st edition of the Venice Film Festival is kicking off today with a star-studded start with the world premiere of Beetlejuice on Wednesday. The Beetlejuice, the Warner Bros. Release is premiering out of competition at the Venice Film Festival before hitting theatres worldwide next week. The film festival will be a busy 10-day event on the Lido, the barrier island across the Venetian lagoon, where the festival has been held since 1932. And French actress and president of the international jury at the Venice Film Festival, Isabelle Huppert, on Wednesday expressed her concerns about the future of the cinema as the members of the jury met the press ahead of the opening ceremony. Huppert stressed the importance of participating in the festival regardless of the jury's decision, saying that all films' presence and recognition at the festival are already a reward in and of itself. Giles Gibson of DD India joining us live from Rome. Giles, so take us through the build-up ahead of the festival, which officially, I think, kick-starts in a few hours from now.
That's right. We've seen Hollywood stars arriving on their gondolas at the venue for this year's Venice Film Festival. Really a sharp contrast to what we saw last year, when, because of the ongoing Hollywood strikes, there were really very few Hollywood A-listers actually in Venice for the festival. This year, very different. We've seen, in particular, the stars of that film that you mentioned, Beetlejuice, appearing on the red carpet, being carried on gondolas, wearing their sunglasses, posing for photographs in front of the world's cameras, including Michael Keaton, Jenna Ortega, as well as the director Tim Burton, all of them there for this world premiere of this film, which is going to kick off the Venice Film Festival. Although it's not actually part of the competition, it's not in competition, as they say, at the festival. That will be a whole series of films competing for what's known as the Golden Lion Award, which is given to the best film of the festival when it wraps up on the 7th of September.
All right. Thank you very much, Giles, for joining us live from Rome. Thank you. In other news, Sri Lanka's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Ali Sabri, has said that the talk of a renegotiation of International Monetary Fund deal is very unfortunate. He said that the IMF deal was based on 5 important pillars of debt sustainability analysis, which included reduction of total debt and debt payments to 95% and 4.5% of the GDP, respectively. He added that under the deal, Sri Lanka is due to receive around $1.2 billion from International Monetary Fund and World Bank till next week. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Residents in South Tokar city of the Red Sea state in Sudan were left stranded after flash floods destroyed the main highway in the city. More than 300,000 people have been affected across the country as the floods destroy homes and spread diseases, including cholera. Rescuers continue their search for a woman and her son who were missing after torrential rains triggered a landslide in the southern Italian province. The fire brigade squads had been deployed to find missing people, and the landslide has forced people to be evacuated from their homes. Air traffic was halted at Eindhoven Airport in Netherlands following IT issues at the Defence Ministry. The disruption grounded all flights, resulting in the cancellation of at least 14 flights. Additionally, several flights were diverted to the department from Germany's Wies Airport. Others were rerouted to Amsterdam's airport and Belgium's Brussels Airport, both 125 kilometers from Eindhoven. And you're watching DD India Newshour. It's time for some sports news. The city of Paris is all set to host its first ever Summer Paralympic Games in a grand opening ceremony tonight. Place de la Concorde and the Champs-Élysées will host 4,400 Paralympic athletes from 184 delegations as they celebrate the commencement of 11 days of competition starting from today. The ceremony will again take place outside the confines of a stadium, with athletes parading down the famous avenue, culminating in a celebration and official opening of the Paralympic Games at the iconic square in front of thousands of spectators. Speaking on the preparations ahead of the opening ceremony, the International Paralympic Committee's President Andrew Parsons said that Paris Games will be a turning point for the Paralympic movement. More than 1.75 million tickets had been sold ahead of the opening ceremony of the Paralympics, which will run until 8th of September.
Many reasons. I think, of course, the Paralympic movement has become more relevant than ever before, but also because of the ambition of the Paris 2024 Organizing Committee. In many areas, they are innovating, and we are part of that. And probably the sport that people are going to see in the field of play is better than ever before. We are evolving as a sport movement. So I think, yes, it will be a before Paris and after Paris for the Paralympic movement.
US Paralympic athlete Hunter Woodhall has said that he hoped his performance on the track would speak for itself after a hard period of training.
The gold medal, of course, that's a big goal. I mean, I won 4 of them, 3 in the long jump, 1 in the relay. Yeah, and I hope I can defend the title. That is definitely the biggest goal. The world record, well, it's quite a big job to do it here. But of course, I mean, we want to jump as far as possible.
I think one thing that we've really focused on this year is not having any expectations. I mean, this whole year has been incredible. Training has gone really well. I've taken a lot of risk and relearned so many things, running the best I've ever ran. So I'm just going to go out, have a good time, enjoy the moment, be in the presence of an incredible crowd in Paris 2024, and just do my best. And the result will speak for itself.
England batter Joe Root reclaimed his spot as the #1 test batter in the ICC men's test batsman rankings. The International Cricket Council has released the latest rankings in the test format, and former England skipper Joe Root is on top with 881 points. Kane Williamson has secured the 2nd spot, and his fellow New Zealand teammate Daryl Mitchell emerged as #3. Root has dominated Test cricket rankings since arriving on the scene, and the latest series against Sri Lanka proves to be no different. The 33-year-old scored an unbeaten 62 to anchor his side to a comfortable win. England's former #1 ranked T20 batsman David Millar has announced his retirement from international cricket at the age of 37. In his illustrious career, David Millar has played 22 tests, 30 ODIs and 62 T20s. Not only this, he is one of the only 2 England men's batters alongside Jos Buttler to have made centuries in all 3 international formats. However, he had not featured in an England squad since the 50-over World Cup in India last year. David confirmed his decision after his omission from the forthcoming white ball series against Australia. And that's all in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Sakal Bhatt, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
पापा ये सब?
हाँ, जो चीजें सालों से बेवजह पड़ी हो उन्हें हटा देना चाहिए।
ये भी दादाजी की पुरानी पासबुक और एफडी।
अरे ये कैसे रह गया?
पैसे गए?
नहीं, उपाय है। बैंक खाते को संचालित करते रहना चाहिए, वरना खाता इनऑपरेटिव हो जाता है। ऐसे में बैंक से संपर्क करें, खाता सक्रिय करवाएं और आपकी रकम जो है उसे ब्याज समेत क्लेम करें।
दादू ये?
आरबीआई कहता है
जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
सही कह रहा है।
Welcome to Jaipur.